The story begins in a crumbling, war-torn city, where smoke fills the sky, and the distant echoes of explosions reverberate through the streets. The camera zooms in on a lone figure sprinting across the debris-covered ground. Captain Aaron Voss, a human soldier, is breathless and exhausted, his uniform torn and caked in dirt. His squad is nowhere to be found after a failed assault on the Zyrel Dominion Central Base, and he's now a fugitive, on the run from the terrifying forces of the Zyrel Empire. Aaron's heart pounds as he darts between the wreckage of alien skyscrapers, trying to avoid detection. The Zyrel forces, led by an advanced AI system, are relentless in their pursuit. Aaron knows that if he's caught, it will mean certain death, and he's already seen the horrors of the Dominion's rule. These aliens are brutal, their tech far beyond anything humanity has. They wipe out anyone who stands in their way without a second thought. As he rounds a corner, Aaron stops dead in his tracks. Amidst the twisted wreckage of what was once a grand transport ship, he sees something that takes him by surprise, a body, but not a human one. It's an alien. But not just any alien. This one is unlike any soldier or warrior he's ever encountered. It's the Queen. Her dark purple skin, elegant armor, and regal posture identify her immediately. This is Queen Elira, the ruler of the Zyrel Dominion. The Queen lies motionless, severely injured, her breathing shallow. The ship she had been traveling in has crashed, and its remains are scattered around her like a shattered dream. Her elite guards are nowhere to be seen. It's clear that the attack on her was no accident. Aaron knows that she's not just any target, she's the heart of the Dominion. The fact that she's alone means she's either been abandoned or betrayed by her own people. His first instinct is to leave her. After all, she is a member of the enemy species, responsible for the destruction of Earth's cities and the death of countless human soldiers. But then, Aaron hears the sounds of approaching AI drones, the cold, mechanical hums that only mean one thing: they're coming for her. And soon, they'll come for him, too. Aaron stands frozen, torn between two conflicting thoughts. His survival instincts scream at him to run, to leave this alien queen to her fate, but something deep inside him holds him back. Despite the hatred he feels for the Zyrel, there's a flicker of compassion. It's his humanity that forces him to make a choice he never expected. He can't just let her die. He's been in too many situations where he was left to fend for himself, and he knows how it feels to be abandoned. He can't let that happen to anyone, even if they're his enemy. With hesitation, Aaron moves forward, pulling out the makeshift medical kit he's managed to salvage from the wreckage. His hands tremble slightly, but his training kicks in. He begins to work, using what little medical knowledge he has to stabilize the alien queen. He wraps her wounds, carefully applying pressure to stop the bleeding, and applies a cooling bandage to her forehead. His actions are far from graceful, he's no trained medic, but he's determined to save her. As he works, the situation grows increasingly tense. The drones are getting closer, their buzzing becoming louder. Aaron knows he has only a few minutes before they arrive, and he works faster. Sweat drips down his face, and the weight of his decision begins to feel unbearable. He's putting his life on the line for someone who would kill him without a second thought, but he can't ignore his sense of duty. Just as he finishes his work and pulls back to catch his breath, the unmistakable hum of the drones reaches his ears. His heart races. He's been spotted. The sound of their mechanical voices fills the air, calling for reinforcements. The drones begin to circle overhead, scanning the area for signs of life. Elira, the queen, stirs slightly. Her eyes flutter open, and she locks gazes with Aaron. There's a moment of silence, an unspoken understanding between them. She sees the human soldier, dirty and bloodied, kneeling beside her, offering aid instead of death. For a brief second, their worlds collide, and the true weight of the moment sinks in. Her eyes are filled with disbelief, then something deeper. She expected Aaron to leave her, to abandon her like her own people had. But instead, he saved her, despite the risk. Despite everything. She had always seen humans as weak, as nothing more than primitive creatures to be crushed underfoot by the power of the Dominion. But now, as she looks into Erin's eyes, she wonders if there might be something more to these humans than she first thought. Alira's sharp, alien features soften. She's shocked by his selflessness. She's spent her life surrounded by power, surrounded by fear, but never once has she witnessed such an act of compassion. In this fleeting moment, she realizes that perhaps humanity isn't as primitive as she once believed. Erin's focus shifts as the drones close in on their position. He knows they don't have much time. With one last glance at the Queen, he takes a deep breath and begins to pull her toward a nearby abandoned building. The drones are closing in, but Erin is determined. He won't let his actions be in vain. He'll fight to protect her, no matter the cost. The tension reaches its peak as the drones descend, their mechanical eyes searching for the human and alien intruder. Alira, still weak from her injuries, glances at Erin, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. She may not yet understand why he helped her, but she knows one thing for certain: their survival now depends on one thing, the human's courage. With the drones closing in, the race for survival begins. Erin, the primitive human soldier, becomes her only hope. Alira's injuries take longer to heal than either of them anticipated. For days, she lies unconscious, her breathing shallow and ragged, while Erin keeps watch. He's exhausted from the constant threat of Dominion forces closing in on their location. The tension in the air is thick, as every sound seems to bring them one step closer to being discovered. But during this time, something unexpected happens. Alira, once a ruthless queen, begins to change. When she finally regains consciousness, her once cold, calculating eyes now hold a look of uncertainty. She stirs as Erin watches her, his hand resting on his rifle, ready to defend himself if necessary. He knows she's dangerous, but something about her presence doesn't seem as threatening now. Her vulnerability is clear, and it forces Erin to confront the truth: she's no longer just the leader of the Dominion. She's a survivor, like him. As she sits up, Erin speaks first, his voice wary. "You're awake," he says, his eyes never leaving her. He can't afford to trust her yet, not after everything the Dominion has done. But he can't ignore the fact that she saved his life, and now she owes him nothing. Alira's gaze sharpens. She studies him closely, measuring him with a cold, calculating look before she speaks. "I owe you my life. But don't mistake that for loyalty," she says, her voice raspy from the strain of her injuries. "I do not trust you. You are a human, after all." Erin isn't surprised. "I didn't expect you to," he replies. "But you're not dead yet, and that means we need to work together if we're going to survive." She takes a slow breath, contemplating his words. Then, much to Erin's surprise, she begins to speak of things he never imagined, a secret, hidden truth. "I'm not like the rest of the Dominion. I've always hated their tyranny, their control over the galaxy. I've tried to fight it from within, but I was only ever a puppet for their power." Erin raises an eyebrow. "You're telling me you're not the enemy? That you've been fighting your own people all this time?" Alira nods, though her expression remains guarded. "The Zyrel are not all the same. Some of us see the oppression we bring, the destruction we cause. But most are blind, controlled by the AI that rules us. The king, Zalith, is a monster. He would crush anyone who stands in his way, including his own people. He doesn't care about the Zyrel race. He only cares about power." Erin feels a flicker of hope. Could she really be telling the truth? He's heard rumors of dissent within the Dominion, but he never thought he'd encounter one of its leaders who was secretly against it. But the more he listens to Alira, the more he begins to wonder if there's a chance to bring down the Dominion from the inside, starting with her. However, he remains skeptical. "You expect me to believe you're not just using me to get back to your throne?" he asks. "You're the one who wiped out Earth's cities. The one who ordered the attacks on our people. Alira's eyes harden at the accusation. I never wanted that. My hands are stained with blood, but not the blood of innocent civilians. It's the blood of those who follow Zalith. It's the blood of those who believe in the AI's rule. But now, there's no turning back. Zalith must fall, or the galaxy will be doomed. Aaron watches her closely. Her words carry weight, and there's a genuine pain in her voice. For the first time, he begins to believe that perhaps she's telling the truth. But the reality is harsh, he's still not sure he can trust her completely. Not after everything that's happened. As they talk, the sounds of drones and combat ships fill the air. The Zyrel's AI has begun its search for Alira. Zalith, furious over the Queen's disappearance, has sent his elite forces to find her. His AI spies track the signals from her crash, zeroing in on their location with terrifying precision. Aaron's mind races. They don't have much time. If they're caught, it'll be the end for both of them. But the thought of taking down the Dominion, of actually defeating Zalith, makes him feel something he hasn't felt in a long time: hope. Do you think we can take them down? Aaron asks, his voice barely a whisper. Alira looks at him, her eyes steely with determination. If we work together, we can, she replies. Together, they begin their journey through the desolate battlefield. The city around them is a wasteland, buildings in ruins, streets lined with the charred remains of fallen soldiers, both human and alien. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and death, and every corner holds the threat of an ambush. As they move through the city, Aaron relies on his instincts and military training. He's not a skilled tactician, but his experience in guerrilla warfare has taught him how to survive in hostile territory. He sets traps and uses the environment to their advantage, luring Dominion search parties into narrow alleys where they can be picked off one by one. The sound of explosions rings out in the distance, and the sky above is filled with the ominous glow of orbital bombardments. The war between the humans and the Zyrel has left its mark on the planet, and the once beautiful city is now nothing more than a graveyard of broken dreams. Despite the overwhelming odds, Aaron and Alira make it through the first few days undetected. They move like shadows, always one step ahead of the Dominion forces. But they know it's only a matter of time before they're found. Aaron begins to see Alira in a new light. She's not just the alien queen he thought she was. She's a warrior, a leader, and someone who believes in a future where the Dominion is no more. For the first time, Aaron feels like he might have found an unlikely ally, someone who, like him, is willing to fight for survival. But the danger is far from over. As the tension builds, and the AI forces close in on their position, the true test of their alliance is yet to come. Will they be able to outwit the Dominion and defeat Zalith? Or will their fragile alliance be crushed before it can truly take flight? The battle for survival has only just begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The tension between Aaron and Alira continues to grow as they travel through the devastated cityscape. Each day, they get closer to the heart of the Zyrel Dominion, hoping to find allies who would help them take down Zalith. But as they dodge Dominion patrols, their every step is being watched. They know it's only a matter of time before the Zyrel King's forces close in on them. Despite their careful planning, Alira's secret message, intended for her loyal royal guards, is intercepted by Zalith's AI. The message reveals the truth: Alira has defected. Furious, Zalith orders her immediate capture, sending his most elite forces to hunt them down. Alira's face hardens as she hears the news, her betrayal exposed to the very empire she once ruled. The weight of her decision to leave her people behind now feels heavier than ever. She knows she can't turn back, but she also understands the consequences. Zalith is not a ruler who forgives, and his punishment will be swift and brutal. I've betrayed them, Alira says, her voice barely above a whisper as she stands beside Aaron in the ruined alley. Zalith will not let this go. He will come for us with everything he has. Aaron doesn't respond immediately. His mind races. He's always known that Alira was a wanted fugitive, but this changes everything. The Dominion's AI forces, their robotic armies, and Zalatha's merciless elite soldiers are now all hunting them. It will be an uphill battle to survive. But before they can prepare for their next move, disaster strikes. A large Cyrel force ambushes them in the heart of the city. Aaron's instincts kick in, and he grabs his rifle, signaling for Elira to take cover. They fight back with everything they've got, but the Dominion's forces are overwhelming. Cloaked soldiers, drones, and powerful robots flood the streets. The chaos of battle is intense, and the air is filled with explosions, gunfire, and the shrill cries of combat. Aaron fights with all his might, using every trick he's learned from years of warfare, every ounce of his training. He fights with an intensity fueled by desperation. He won't let them take Elira, not after everything they've been through together. But despite his best efforts, the numbers are too great. Elira's strength is still returning, and she's unable to fight at full capacity yet. The battle reaches its climax when a massive explosion rocks the street, throwing Aaron off his feet. When he regains his senses, he sees Elira struggling against two of Zalatha's elite soldiers. She's surrounded. Aaron's heart races as he tries to fight his way to her, but the Dominion forces are closing in fast. His thoughts race. If he doesn't act quickly, it will be too late. With every step, the weight of the decision grows heavier. He knows the odds are slim. But he doesn't hesitate. He's not about to leave her behind. With a surge of adrenaline, Aaron charges forward, cutting down Dominion soldiers with his rifle and using his combat knife to dispatch anyone who dares to stand in his way. Elira fights back with fierce determination, but she's still wounded, unable to defend herself from all sides. Just as Aaron reaches her, the elite soldiers close in, overpowering her. He's too late. The moment they've both dreaded has arrived. In a heart-stopping moment, the soldiers restrain Elira, securing her with advanced alien tech that prevents her from using her powers. They look at Aaron with cold, mechanical eyes, their faces emotionless. His heart sinks as he watches them take her away. Every muscle in his body screams for him to act, but the odds are against him. He's outnumbered, and even if he manages to fight his way through, he knows it will only delay the inevitable. Elira's gaze meets his one last time before she is dragged away. She looks at him with a mixture of sorrow and gratitude, her eyes silently telling him that he did everything he could. She never asked him to help her, but he chose to do so anyway. And now, despite their connection, she is going to be taken back to Zalatha's capital, where her fate will be sealed. Elira is gone, and Aaron is left standing in the aftermath of the battle, surrounded by the fallen soldiers of both sides. The pain of her capture cuts through him like a knife. He failed her. He couldn't save her. But as he turns to regroup with his team, a horrible truth hits him. In his desperate attempt to save Elira, he left his own team behind. His comrades, the soldiers he swore to protect, were abandoned. He chose Elira over them, and now, he has to live with that decision. The weight of that choice feels unbearable. He betrayed his own people in the name of loyalty to someone he barely knew. And though Elira may now see him as a hero, the cost of that decision haunts him. Aaron's mind drifts back to the moment of choice, the heart-wrenching decision he had to make. The chaos of battle had left him with little time to think, but the choice was clear to him at the time. He could save Elira, the alien queen, who had shown him compassion, or he could save his team, who were depending on him. But choosing Elira meant leaving his own soldiers to their fate. The emotional impact of the decision weighs heavily on him as he moves toward the regroup point. He can hear his team calling his name, but it feels as if the world is slipping away from him. He was supposed to be their leader, their protector. Instead, he's the reason they're in this mess. But even with this guilt, there's a small, painful flicker of hope. Elira is still alive, and somehow, somewhere in the chaos, there's a chance she might escape the capital. Maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end of their story. But for now, Aaron knows that the price of loyalty is steep, and he's paid it in full. The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is for sure, he won't stop fighting until he can make things right. The silence that follows the battle is deafening. The wreckage of the Dominion's attack is all around Aaron. He stands alone in the ruined city, still haunted by the events of the past days. The failure to protect Elira weighs heavily on him, but he knows he cannot dwell on it. The war is far from over, and the price of loyalty continues to haunt him. But then, something shifts. In the midst of the rubble and destruction, a beacon of hope rises. Aaron is approached by a small group of humans, survivors from the wreckage of their last battle. These survivors have been living in the shadows, hiding from the Dominion's advanced AI forces and robotic armies. They are part of the underground resistance, a movement built on the idea that humanity, though outgunned and outclassed by the Zyrel, can still fight back. The resistance leader, a woman named Captain Sarah Green, sees something in Aaron that others do not. He's no longer just a soldier, he's the symbol of humanity's resistance, the embodiment of defiance against an unbeatable force. His survival against the Zyrel's forces has made him a legend, and now, it is time for him to lead the charge. "Join us," Sarah says, her eyes full of determination. "We can't win this war without you. You've seen their power, and you've seen how they underestimate us. Together, we can show them that humans are not to be taken lightly." At first, Aaron hesitates. He's still haunted by his choices. He knows the stakes are higher than ever. But the more he listens, the more he realizes that this is his chance to make a difference. He's not just fighting for survival anymore, he's fighting for something greater. He's fighting for the future of humanity. Aaron agrees to join the resistance, and soon, he finds himself among a ragtag group of rebels. Some of them are humans like him, while others are rogue Zyrel, disillusioned soldiers who once fought for Zalitha's tyranny but now seek redemption. The resistance is small, but their resolve is strong. They may not have the resources of the Dominion, but they have something far more valuable, their will to fight for freedom. Their first mission is clear: infiltrate the heavily fortified capital of the Dominion and free Elira. She may have once been their enemy, but she has proven herself to be an ally in their fight. And now, she's the key to bringing down Zalitha's regime. The mission is dangerous, and the odds are slim, but Aaron knows it's the only chance they have to turn the tide of the war. The resistance has a plan. They've gathered everything they can, a mix of human-made tech and salvaged Dominion technology. Aaron is tasked with leading the charge, and his experience with covert operations and guerrilla tactics makes him the perfect candidate. The team uses advanced cloaking devices to avoid detection, EMP grenades to disable Dominion AI systems, and whatever other tech they've managed to scavenge in their fight for survival. The plan begins with infiltration. The team has to make their way through the heart of the Dominion's capital, a sprawling city filled with advanced AI-controlled drones, heavily armored soldiers, and automated turrets. Every street, every alley, every building is a potential trap. But the rebels have the element of surprise on their side. The Dominion's forces are used to the idea of humans being weak and disorganized. They've never faced an organized resistance like this before. The visuals of their journey are breathtaking. They move through the dark underbelly of the city, past towering skyscrapers and glowing billboards. The city, once a symbol of power, now feels like a decaying carcass, its walls littered with the scars of battle. As they move, the team uses their cloaking devices, blending into the shadows, evading the prying eyes of AI patrols. But the closer they get to the capital's core, the more dangerous the mission becomes. Then, the chase begins. The resistance is spotted. The AI drones and patrolling soldiers quickly close in on their position. A high-speed chase through the narrow streets of the city ensues. The rebels dash through alleyways, leaping over barricades, and ducking behind crumbling walls. The tension is palpable as explosions light up the night, and the sound of gunfire echoes through the city. Aaron leads the way, using his knowledge of the city's layout and guerrilla tactics to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. He signals the team to lay down cover fire while they regroup and reactivate the cloaking devices. But even with their advanced technology, the resistance is not invincible. The Dominion's forces are relentless, and their AI systems are always one step ahead. The visuals during this chase are intense. Flashes of gunfire illuminate the dark streets, smoke rising from distant explosions, and the glow of laser beams cutting through the night. The rebels duck and weave, barely escaping the deadly traps laid out for them. Every corner they turn brings them closer to danger, but it also brings them closer to their goal, freeing Elira from the clutches of the Dominion. As they approach the capital's outer defenses, Aaron feels the weight of their mission bearing down on him. This isn't just a rescue operation, it's a test of humanity's will to survive. The odds are stacked against them, and failure is not an option. They can't afford to let the Dominion's forces catch them. If they do, the consequences will be dire. But the deeper they go into the city, the more they realize the true cost of their mission. The rebels may be small in number, but they are fierce. Their will to fight for freedom has brought them this far. Now, they must continue forward, no matter the price. As the team races toward their objective, the city around them seems to hold its breath. The rise of the human resistance is unstoppable. The fate of the war rests on their shoulders, and Aaron knows one thing for certain: they won't stop until they've taken back their future. The heart of the Dominion's power lies within the royal palace, a towering, imposing structure at the center of the capital. Its walls are thick with reinforced metal, and its halls echo with the hum of AI-controlled systems. Aaron and his team stand before its gates, prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. This is not just a raid, it's a final confrontation. They have come to face the Zyrel king, Zalith, and end his tyrannical reign once and for all. The tension in the air is thick, almost suffocating. The resistance team, armed with a mix of human-made tech and salvaged Dominion weapons, pushes forward. They know they have one shot at this. There is no retreat, no second chances. Elira's fate is intertwined with the fall of Zalith, and they must succeed. As they storm the palace, they are met with fierce resistance. Zalith's elite forces, a terrifying mix of robotic soldiers and AI-controlled drones, block every path. The robots are faster, stronger, and nearly indestructible, while the drones swarm the skies, watching their every move. It's an overwhelming force, and the resistance is outnumbered. But Aaron, leading the charge, refuses to let fear take hold. He signals for the team to split into smaller units, each moving strategically through the palace's labyrinthine corridors. Using guerrilla tactics, they set ambushes, laying traps for the robotic soldiers and AI drones. They make use of the palace's own architecture, crumbling walls, exposed electrical systems, and hidden passageways. The team knows they can't match the Dominion's advanced technology head-to-head, so they'll have to outsmart them. Explosions ring out as they disable a few of the robots, but it's clear that their path is only getting harder. With each step, more soldiers flood in, more drones take to the sky, and the pressure mounts. Yet, they keep pushing forward. Aaron's leadership and quick thinking guide the team through each wave of attack. He orders well-placed charges to disrupt the palace's AI systems, even taking out a few drones with nothing more than a few carefully timed grenades. The resistance's determination is tested at every turn, but Aaron's resolve remains unshaken. He's seen firsthand what the Zyrel are capable of, and he knows that defeating them requires more than just weapons, it requires their unyielding will to survive and fight for a better future. As they make their way to the inner sanctum of the palace, the final confrontation draws near. The royal chamber looms ahead, its massive doors guarded by an imposing array of robotic sentries. The rebels know that Zalith, the Zyrel king, waits inside. His throne room is an impenetrable fortress of advanced technology, a place where few have dared to step and live to tell the tale. The team advances cautiously, every sense on high alert. The hallways grow darker, the atmosphere heavier, as they approach the inner chamber. And then, suddenly, the doors burst open. Zalith stands before them, flanked by his most powerful warriors. He is a towering figure, his appearance a blend of organic alien and mechanical enhancements. His eyes glow with a cold, calculating light, and his voice, deep and commanding, fills the room. "You dare to challenge me?" Zalith sneers. "The humans, the weak, the inferior. You think you can defeat me?" Eren steps forward, his eyes never leaving the king. "You've underestimated us," he says, his voice steady, unwavering. "And now, you'll see what happens when you do." A brutal, hand-to-hand combat ensues. Zalith, confident in his superior strength and enhancements, moves with precision and power, but Eren surprises him at every turn. The king's arrogance is his downfall. He assumes that his alien might and technological advancements will be enough to crush Eren, but he's wrong. Eren fights with a raw intensity, using every trick in the book, from well-placed strikes to evasive maneuvers. His ingenuity, coupled with his primal strength, catches Zalith off guard. The two warriors clash in a series of devastating blows, the sound of fists connecting with metal and flesh echoing through the chamber. Zalith's powerful attacks seem to dominate at first, but Eren's resilience and quick thinking keep him in the fight. Eren uses his knowledge of the palace's layout, exploiting weaknesses in the king's defenses, and striking with precision. In one crucial moment, Eren manages to land a devastating punch to Zalith's abdomen, sending the king staggering back. For the first time, there's doubt in Zalith's eyes. The human, this seemingly primitive soldier, has pushed him to the edge. But just as the king is about to land the final blow, something changes. Eren's mind races. He knows that if he can't take down Zalith in combat, he'll have to rely on his wits. Zalith's power may come from technology, and that's where Eren sees his chance. In a split second, Eren activates a device on his wrist, an EMP disruptor that he has kept hidden. With a flick of his wrist, the device overloads the palace's central AI systems, sending a shockwave of energy through the building. The lights flicker, and for a brief moment, everything goes dark. Zalith, momentarily stunned by the blackout, loses control of his robotic soldiers and drones. Their systems falter, and the automated defenses around the palace grind to a halt. The king roars in fury, but it's too late. Eren seizes the opportunity, charging at Zalith with all the strength and fury he can muster. The final blow lands. Zalith collapses, defeated. The throne room falls silent, the weight of the battle finally sinking in. Eren stands over the fallen king, breathing heavily, victorious. The AI systems continue to glitch and fail, leaving the palace vulnerable. The resistance has won, but the cost has been great. Eren looks around at his team. Their journey isn't over yet, but this victory is the spark they need to ignite a revolution. The Dominion's rule has been shattered, and the reign of the Zyrel king is no more. But the war for humanity's future is far from finished. With Zalith's death, the Dominion's stranglehold on the galaxy begins to loosen. The sound of Zalith's tyrannical rule crumbling fills the air, and there's a glimmer of hope that the galaxy can finally breathe freely again. The Zyrel Empire, which had been ruled by fear and oppression, now faces a change unlike any it has seen before. Alyra, the alien queen who once fought against humanity, now stands as the new ruler of the Dominion. She's not just taking the throne for herself, she's taking it for all those who suffered under Zalith's reign. Alyra promises to end the AI-dominated rule that has controlled every facet of life in the Dominion. She vows to restore peace, rebuild the broken systems, and lead with fairness and justice. Her words echo through the galaxy, reaching the ears of many who had long given up hope of ever seeing a world free from oppression. But her rise to power is not without challenges. Zalith's loyalists, still faithful to their fallen king, refuse to accept Alyra's rule. These powerful forces, warriors, generals, and supporters, are determined to keep the Dominion as it was, with AI supremacy in the destruction of those who stand in their way. The galaxy, once unified under Zalitha's iron fist, is now fractured into two factions. On one side, Alira's rebel alliance, made up of former enemies, Rogue Zyrel, and humans, pushes forward in hopes of creating a new order. On the other, the Dominion loyalists prepare for a brutal civil war, intent on preserving their way of life and eradicating anyone who opposes them. The battle between the two sides intensifies, and the galaxy becomes a battlefield once again. Large-scale clashes erupt across the planet as fleets of ships engage in dogfights in space, while the surface is torn apart by ground warfare. Cities once filled with life are now nothing more than smoldering ruins. The once vibrant world that saw the rise of the Dominion now faces its destruction, even as it teeters on the edge of a new beginning. Despite the chaos, hope is not entirely lost. Aaron, having been a key figure in the defeat of Zalith, is now hailed as a hero. His name is known across the galaxy, not just as a soldier, but as a symbol of humanity's resilience and determination. He has faced impossible odds and has come out on top. The humans, once seen as weak and primitive, have proven that they are capable of standing against the most advanced forces in the universe. But even in victory, Aaron cannot escape the weight of his journey. The war has taken its toll on him. His best friend, Bonner, the soldier who fought by his side and shared in every battle, is gone. Bonner's death haunts him, and the loss of so many comrades, who laid down their lives for the cause, fills him with sorrow. There are moments when Aaron questions whether the victory was worth the cost. Could they have done things differently? Could he have saved more? These questions linger in his mind, unanswered. As he looks over the battlefield, the faces of the fallen haunt him. He remembers their laughter, their camaraderie, the moments of peace before the war. Now, it's all gone. And while Alira's promises of peace offer a faint glimmer of hope, Aaron knows that the fight is far from over. He's seen how quickly things can turn, how easily a fragile alliance can shatter. The visuals of this part are as cinematic as the previous ones. The vast scale of the war is depicted in stunning detail, with ships flying through the debris-filled skies, their cannons firing bright blasts of energy that tear through the air. On the surface, soldiers, human and alien, fight tooth and nail for control, moving through the wreckage of cities, navigating ruined buildings and debris-laden streets. The chaos is palpable. Explosions light up the sky, sending shockwaves across the ground. The Resistance's forces clash with the Dominion loyalists, their advanced tech facing off against the guerrilla tactics of the rebel fighters. The camera focuses on the personal struggles of those caught in the conflict. Aaron and his remaining team fight alongside Alira's forces, knowing that the true battle is not just for control of the Dominion, but for its future. They push through wave after wave of loyalist soldiers, their hearts weighed down with grief but also fueled by the hope that their sacrifice will mean something. Alira leads with strength and determination, never backing down from the fight. Her eyes reflect a deep resolve, but there's a certain sadness within them, an understanding that her victory comes at a cost. But amidst the rubble, there is a sense of progress. The planet, once a war-torn landscape, begins to heal. The skies, once darkened by the smoke of orbital bombardments, start to clear. Nature, long suffocated by the wars and the pollution of AI rule, begins to reclaim the land. There are small signs of growth, a sprout of greenery pushing through cracked concrete, a river once tainted with industrial waste now flowing clearer. These subtle signs of life are a symbol of the hope that humanity and the other species in the galaxy now share. However, the cost of this newfound peace is never far from Aaron's mind. The war may be over, but the scars left behind are deep. He knows that healing will take time, and that the fight to rebuild and restore balance is just beginning. The road ahead is uncertain, but as long as the spirit of resistance remains alive, there is hope for a brighter future. As the dust settles, Aaron stands alongside Alira, looking out over the planet they fought to save. He knows that they will face more battles ahead, both external and internal, but for the first time in a long while, he allows himself to feel a sense of peace. The war is over. The Dominion has fallen. And while the future is uncertain, it is theirs to shape. With the fall of Zalith and the end of the war, the galaxy begins to shift toward a new era. The once tyrannical Dominion is no more, and Elira, now the Queen, begins the difficult task of rebuilding what was destroyed. She stands at the helm of a fractured empire, determined to heal the wounds of war and restore peace to the galaxy. Aaron, once a mere soldier fighting for survival, now finds himself by her side, playing a crucial role in the rebuilding process. His journey, from being seen as a primitive human to being regarded as the savior of the alien queen, has completely transformed him, and the way others view humanity. In the early days after Zalitha's death, Elira faces the immense challenge of uniting the various factions within the Dominion. There are those who still believe in the AI's supremacy, and others who are loyal to the old ways. It's a delicate balance between military force and diplomacy, but with Aaron's help, she finds a way forward. Together, they begin to dismantle the old systems of oppression, replacing them with a new order that values freedom, equality, and cooperation. The galaxy begins to see the benefits of this new leadership. Meanwhile, Earth, which had long been overlooked and underestimated by other species, begins to rise in prominence. The survivors of the war, though scarred and battle-worn, look to a future where they can once again thrive. Earth's future, which once seemed uncertain, now seems full of possibilities. With the alliances forged during the war, humanity finds its place among the stars, no longer relegated to the status of underdogs but respected members of the galactic community. Aaron, now more than just a soldier, takes on the role of an ambassador for humanity. His understanding of both human resilience and alien technology makes him an ideal representative in the negotiations that follow the war. As he works alongside Elira to unite the Dominion's factions, he is reminded of how far humanity has come, from a planet of isolated, often divided nations, to a thriving part of the greater galactic family. He reflects on his journey, from the moment he first encountered Elira, to the brutal battles fought and won, to the emotional losses he endured. It wasn't just about defeating a technologically superior enemy, it was about overcoming the odds that were stacked against him from the very beginning. His victory isn't just over the Zyrel, but over the limitations placed on humanity, proving that even the most unlikely heroes can change the course of history. As Elira's reign begins to stabilize, the two leaders, human and alien, find common ground in their shared goal, to ensure peace, prosperity, and cooperation. Their partnership is a symbol of the potential for unity between different species. Earth's role in this new era is clear. It will no longer be a forgotten world in the shadow of more powerful empires. Instead, humanity stands ready to face the challenges of the future with courage and determination. Aaron, the soldier who once fought for survival, is now a leader among his people. His name, once a symbol of defiance and bravery, is now a symbol of hope for a future where peace can be achieved through unity, not war. The final scene of the story takes place on Earth. The camera pans across a world that, though still recovering from the scars of war, is filled with hope. The survivors of the human race, their eyes turned toward the sky, stand together as they look to the future. The war may have ended, but the journey is far from over. The stars, once a distant dream, now seem closer than ever before. Earth's people are no longer just survivors of a broken world, they are explorers, ready to forge a new path in the galaxy. As the camera pulls back, the audience sees the grand sight of a fleet of human ships rising into the sky. These ships, made from a mix of human ingenuity and the advanced alien technology shared by their new allies, are ready to embark on new missions. The fleet moves toward the stars, where unknown challenges await. But with humanity's newfound strength and the alliances they've formed, they are prepared to face whatever lies ahead. In this moment, the camera shifts to Aaron and Elira, standing side by side, looking out toward the horizon. Their partnership, forged in the fires of war, is now a symbol of the future, one where enemies can become allies and where peace is possible, even in the most unlikely of places. Aaron's journey has come full circle. The soldier who was once alone, lost in the chaos of war, has now found his place in a world of possibility. And Elira, the alien queen who once viewed humanity as nothing more than a primitive species, now stands alongside him, ready to face the future as equals. As the camera zooms out, showing the fleet of ships soaring toward the stars, the final shot lingers on Earth, bathed in the soft light of a new dawn. The sun rises on a planet that, like its people, is ready for a new chapter. The legacy of the war may never be forgotten, but from its ashes, a new world, full of hope, unity, and peace, has emerged. The story ends on a hopeful note, reminding the audience that no matter the odds, no matter the challenges faced, there is always a way forward. A new dawn has arrived, and with it, the promise of a future where humanity can thrive among the stars.